Lindora hits the franchisor hot seat. Coming up next. Martin, I like to start with your story, then we'll get into the brand, because I think it positions things nicely. So as simple and scripted as this question is, how did you accidentally fall into franchising? What's your franchise story?
Never allowed to leave. So I waited tables all through college, and I fell in love with the restaurant industry. But I got my degree in marketing, so I thought, why don't I combine these two passions, right? So I tried to find a marketing gig in the food industry, and I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and I ended up doing marketing for the largest Krispy Kreme franchisee. We had 22 locations in Los Angeles, grew them to 31. And I fell in love with marketing. I fell in love with franchising. And so we fought with the big corporate meanies, those evil guys from corporate marketing. And then I became one of the evil corporate marketing guys. And I stayed in food and beverage for the bulk of my career. I was in food and beverage marketing on the franchise side for about 15 years. And worked for some fairly big iconic brands, both in the field and at corporate level. So, and then I found my way here to Xponential.
Love it. So a few things I want to unpack there. So going back to Krispy Kreme days. At that point, do you understand the relationship between franchisee and franchisor? Obviously, you're reporting into a franchisee. Like, yeah. Are you aware of the differences, or how did you become aware of the differences?
I learned really quickly, right, that it was, we would get visits from corporate, and I had to really, I didn't understand franchising when I first started, right? I mean, I was fresh out of college, and I didn't really understand what that meant. I thought I was working for Krispy Kreme. I didn't know that they were, independently owned and what that meant. But it really was a great training ground to work for a franchisee as you understand what that different cost structure looks like and how important driving sales is and the operations. But then also leaning on and trusting your franchisor, but trusting but validating, right? So that it's where I first kind of learned that in franchising, it's this naturally adversarial relationship, right? Where the franchisor is pushing you for results and the franchisee is pushing them for support and resources. And it was a really great training ground to work for a franchisee for a couple years. So I understood the unique struggles and what goes into that side of the business.
I think that's deeply important. I'm going to say two comments, and then if you have comments, add them on there. But comment one is, I think for franchisors that haven't walked a day in the life of a franchisee, even working for one, I'm not sure they understand that the value of the dollar is 90 cents or less to the franchisee. And so for that same dollar that a franchisor gets to maximize that extra 10%, it's gone. Like that's part of the value of paying a royalty, which in my opinion is greatly undercharged, by the way, on what a franchisee gets. The other comment I'm making, I've said this story many times, and I'm sure this is going to connect with you, working with a franchisee. I was at a conference, top 3 franchisees on stage. Number 3 went from number 50 to number 3 over the course of 12 months. And they said, what did you do? And he goes, I spent 10 cents of every dollar on marketing. And the franchisee next to me elbows me in the side. He goes, that guy's an idiot. I'm like, he's on stage. But the point is it's like a disconnect, and maybe it's in the expectation setting of the franchisor-franchisee relationship to say, like, it takes money to make money, and it's not like you magically open up your doors and make money. And so here, in your sense, like, at least your franchisee had the wherewithal to hire you to say, I need someone marketing at the local level. Any comments on that?
No, it's absolutely right that, you have to make those investments. You have to go by the franchisor's playbook, but then always come at it from a collaborative standpoint of, hey, I'm going to try this, or I'm going to invest more. That you have to understand what the franchisor is telling you is the bare minimum, that this is what we recommend. And we will always applaud people who go above and beyond when they're doing it smart, and they are doing it with intent, and they're doing it with really clear, defined goals of of what this investment is going to get them, and then working with your franchisor. There's not a franchisor on this planet who would not like that phone call of, I'm going to spend more on marketing. This is what I want to do. How do I do it better? And will you partner with me on this to manage these KPIs, to tell me where I'm going wrong, to guide me along this process? It will uncover so much. Some of the greatest throughout my career, right? The greatest ideas are coming from franchisees, but you have to be open, you have to be nimble, and you have to be willing to take that feedback and make it better, right? As you know, as I spent the bulk of my career in marketing, I always, teach my team that nothing hurts my heart more when I see a franchisee doing something on their own, right? From a marketing standpoint, it means they don't trust the materials that we're giving, or they thought of something that we should have thought of first, right? And we take it as a learning opportunity, and we take that and we say, how can I make this better for you, right? And work together from that way. So we don't come at it of an eye rolling and then slap their hands and go there. There's that's just really a big signifier that you aren't supporting in the way that you should, and you need to pivot your strategy.
I love that. I think of the analogy of the devil and the angel on the shoulder, and I would imagine marketers blame operations blames marketing, and now when you're on the crossroads of changing your career and get into the operations side, you got one side saying, I drove the customer in, and the other side going, yeah, you didn't drive enough customers. Like
you drove the wrong ones. Yeah.
How did you I'm at the end of the day, I think an operationalized marketer ends up being the best, which obviously you're leading a company now. But how did you change or leverage that viewpoint as you started making that transition more into a traditional operational role?
Yeah, I have always been a marketer by trade, but an operator at heart, right? Working in the field really helped me with that, right? Of being in field marketing during the early part of my career, you are in unit, right? So I was in restaurants. I was seeing these struggles. I was seeing what was happening with my marketing materials. How is this driving? And then how is it being executed at the unit level, right? So whether it was Denny's, whether it was Baja Fresh, doesn't matter, right? Where you understand, okay, I made this marketing material. I'm trying to drive traffic. What does this translate to inside the four walls? And how can I get better about communicating so it gets down to the individual level? And that's always a franchisor's trickiness, right? Of, I will communicate to the franchisee, and maybe I get to communicate directly with that general manager. But how does it, in the restaurant industry, it was like, how does it get down to that server? How do I motivate that server to learn from this, right? Who is trying to juggle a huge section, right? And doesn't have time to read huge implementation guides, right? So getting really good at communicating benefits of marketing materials and marketing plans and how to deal with these customers. And then transitioning into my time here at Xponential, I started at StretchLab as chief marketing officer, and we were brought on at the infancy, right? When I started, there were 3 locations that our founders opened in Los Angeles, and I partnered with my national sales director, right? And we never had that mentality of I drive leads and you close them, right? We were partners. We were true partners. And he's now president of StretchLab, right? I'm now president of Lindora. And part of StretchLab's success was that really crucial partnership between sales, operations, and marketing to make sure that we weren't just driving leads for the sake of driving leads. Leads don't pay the bills, members do. So we had to drive conversion. So making sure we're all focused on the same goals and being really collaborative together, right? So Verdine, who is, was head of sales at StretchLab, now the president, right? We got into some really heated discussions, but it was always from a really good place of let's make these franchisees wildly successful.
I love it. Let's get into the brand. I'm gonna kick off a comment and then let you run with it. But what you were just talking about was culture, and I think about the problem that Lindora solves and what's built around it. It's culture. I have the privilege and disadvantage of having an intimate relationship with it. I weighed 305 pounds in high school and had to battle through this. And if I identify what makes things work well in a weight journey, it is culture. And you were just talking about culture on the operation marketing side. And obviously the way that the brand is positioned, there's a ton of culture behind it. But tell me what the brand is from your eyes. Tell me what you're seeing from as a visionary now that you've stepped into this position too.
Yeah, thanks. And congratulations on your weight loss. I too have struggled. In high school, I stopped weighing myself when I hit 250, so maybe I was up there with you. But the Lindora really, it was started in 1971, right? So it's rare to have this kind of new kid on the block franchise that's been around for over 50 years. And we started purely helping people lose weight through a clean ketogenic diet, right? So we're not Atkins, extreme low carb, beef, butter, and bacon, right? We are lean proteins, nice grains, fruits, vegetables, right? But it's really about education and customizing a ketogenic diet-based program for every consumer that walks through our doors. And then over time, it gave us permission to expand those services beyond weight loss into if I get this person to a good, nice, healthy weight, how do I still help them increase their overall metabolic health? What are other factors that we need to be looking at, that we need to help solve for? And how can we be the best partner possible to everybody that is coming into a Lindora? So over the years, we've added on additional services like hormone replacement therapy, testosterone replacement therapy that, have a dotted line to weight gain, especially in perimenopausal women. And then IV hydration therapy, which is fantastic. And the benefits there, people really do fall in love with that. We also have Zerona, which is a cold laser fat melting technology, which is great. And so all of these really complementary services are getting to helping people with their overall metabolic health. But we combine that with diet and nutrition counseling. We combine this with data, right? As a business person at heart, I'm a data hound, right? And so when I first came to Lindora, I loved getting, my body composition analysis, which I think we've all had done, right? At some point, we know what our body fat is, we know what our BMI is, but we don't know what those numbers mean, right? So Lindora really partners with you to educate you, to let you know, okay, this is what this means. Let's also look at your blood panel to see where your numbers are at. Let's look at your inflammation blood markers, right? And then let's put together a plan to get these moving in the right direction. And then we'll constantly review that data over time. So in a nutshell, Lindora really is for anyone who wants to lose weight and or increase their overall metabolic health.
I love every bit of that. I think, and it's too big of a term to fit into what you guys are doing currently, but it is what you're doing. Like if I think through your journey or my journey, there's a mental health component to this, which is also, how do I feel when I look in the mirror? What am I telling myself inside my head? And then also the confidence boost that comes out of there. And everything you just said, when you're using data and you're educating and you're looking at how the body breaks down different types of foods through true data, now all of a sudden you're doing something bigger than just weight loss. You're actually helping on mental health.
You're empowering someone to take control, right? When that person first walks into a Lindora, it's incredibly vulnerable, and it's a hard first step to take sometimes, right? You are waving this white flag and saying, I can't do this by myself. And we want to make sure that you're met with grace and dignity when you walk into our studio. But we are more determined to make sure that you are leaving confident, that you know the solution, and we are going to partner with you every single step of the way. It's not going to be a smooth road, and it's going to be an uphill battle sometimes, but we're going to hold your hand. We are going to support you, and we're going to get you to that goal. We wouldn't be around for 50 years if we weren't getting the kind of results we are, and it's incredibly rewarding work.
I'm going to frame my next question. And frankly, all of these are just off the cuff. There's nothing, I have no script. So it's things that I think about when we're talking.
Yeah.
I think about like this. I'm going to do senior care and restaurants. Senior care, 99% of franchise owners had an experience with an aging parent. They saw what happened, and then they said, oh, wow, I want to take control of my own career, and I'm passionate about this because I had experience with it. And the restaurants, all the restaurants that you were involved with, it's like, even the multi-unit operators, at some point they're like, I'm a fan of the brand. I love the product. I love the food. I love the experience. Therefore, I want to invest my money into it. Oftentimes, and it's not perfect, but it's like a gym owner or a stretch lab. There, my perception is it ends up being very, very business operator focused to start, and you see an opportunity because the numbers are good, and I buy into this. With Lindora, and the data is there to match people who have money and have had some sort of weight balance issue. But is your future franchisee someone that has found passion in the impact, either themselves or a family member, that the guiding lights, and then you mirror that or connect it with the financial responsibilities of becoming a franchise owner?
Well, we have seen that, right? But more often than not, our franchisees are coming at this opportunity because at their core, they want to help people, right? They know that they want to be in the hospitality industry, and that's really where Lindora positions ourselves. We're not in the service industry. We are not transactional. We're in the hospitality industry. And so our franchise owners at their core just want to help people. And it's a little intimidating, right? Of thinking, oh gosh, I am not coming from a medical background. I don't know how to hire nurses and how to run a medical guided weight loss and wellness boutique studio. But that's why you buy a franchise, right? We do. And we can help you cross those hurdles and provide you the support and resources. But we have really fantastic owners who at their core just want to help people. A lot of them have had some success, especially with GLP-1 medication, or have had, weight issues in the past. So they know that the power of Lindora, and they really do fall in love with the brand from the inside out, right? Of everything that we stand for and everything that we execute. And then also the actual footprint of the location, where we've made really thoughtful design choice history, that we have a nice history of Lindora. But then we are tweaking kind of our design moving forward, where I never want it to look like a medical office, right? That this is the last place an overweight person wants to go is a doctor, trust me. And so we don't want this to look like an urgent care. This is more of an extension of your living room than a doctor's office. And we took that same mentality with Stretch Lab, right? Where Stretch Lab was not clinical at all, right? It was warm, welcoming, and inviting, because that's really where those consumers wanted to be. Same thing with Lindora, right? That this is warm and welcoming, and we're approachable, but we are the approachable authority in this space.
What I love about your answer is I can see the marketing lens, because the marketing lens, the product and experience has to resonate with the user, or else they're not going to continue using it. And you mirrored that with the operational side of what are we trying to do. I love that direction. I want to shift into the vision. I mean, three months into this role, but a lifelong career of solving challenges for people. Whether it's I want to eat something, I need a cup of coffee, I need to stretch out my body. It doesn't matter. You've had this entire career that leads up to this moment. What's the vision for the business, both from a growth standpoint and the impact that you want to make now?
Great question. Thank you. The vision really is to expand Lindora across the country, right? We're, we've already sold in 16 states. We're coming soon. Incredibly exciting. The opportunity, especially from a weight loss standpoint, is going to be really rewarding, where, there's tons of consumers out there. 40% of the US is obese, 60% overweight or obese, or obese. So the opportunity certainly is there. But where I really see us moving to is to more into the anti-aging longevity space, right? Where how do I expand that reach and draw more consumers into Lindora? Because we've already got what's there, right? We have nurses. We have an incredibly dedicated staff. We are, as we are continuing to expand, right? Our new franchise locations, we just started hiring clinicians, and they are all super excited to work for a space, right? That's not in senior care, right? That isn't just, taking vitals every 30 minutes, right? And we're not dealing in end of life care. We are dealing in start of life care, right? Where you get to really truly help this person, and get to know our clients. If you're a weight loss member at Lindora, it's a 12-month commitment, right? So we want you with us long term. So what are the other services that we can bring on to help you with anti-aging, longevity, and increasing that metabolic health, right? So other peptide injectable therapies, is there red light therapy? Everything has to make sense within our brand, right? So I don't ever see us kind of moving into the aesthetic space of Botox and injectables and neurotoxins and things like that. But what are other injectable therapies that we can offer that can expand our reach and help more people?
Not that I have to tell a marketer this, but what you just said, start of life. What I love about that, like if I were you, I'd play that back and listen to yourself say it, because that message, it's not currently translated onto your website, but start of life means tremendous opportunity on health and wellness. And start of life is what happens when you make the decision to become a franchisee. And so for a North Star, like that seems like a pretty impactful thing. I want to ask this on the business investment side, because this is my opinion. I obviously, like, the category is starting to boom, and you have these one-off brands that are coming into play from a franchise standpoint. Lindora has been around for a long time and actually has a tremendous leg up in data and history. If I'm an operator and I'm looking at opportunities side by side, you have these one-off, whether it's getting into men's health or female health and wellness. That's very specific to the biology inside the body. But if I compare, because of the backing, the systems that are around Lindora as a multi-brand franchisor, for paying the same royalty and the same investment, why would I not go the route of having all these resources versus this new shiny thing? Am I right to look at it that way, that one of the advantages is you get to tap into the entire system?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's what we're here for as a franchisor, right? So leveraging the power of Xponential, getting those economies of scale. But then also you mentioned, some other franchises that are standalone offerings, right? You can go out and start a testosterone replacement therapy franchise. You can go out and start a IV hydration franchise, right? You can go out and start a weight loss franchise. Why not combine all three, right, into one Lindora? So those are standalone businesses, and great, right? And you're good at what you do. Where I don't want us to fall into the trap of being, jack of all trades and master of none, right? So we will still have a limited scope of the services that we would offer, but making sure we do those things incredibly well. I don't want us to get to the point of, you can get an IV, you can get this therapy, you can be on this program, you can join this membership, and we'll change your oil while you're here, right? So we never really want to expand too much, but I think we've got a great mix of services that make sense within our four walls, that help increase results, help increase referrals, and the lifetime value of that client. And then you've got the power of Xponential behind you. So it's a win-win. It's a no-brainer.
Not that I want to compare you guys to McDonald's, because it's one puts weight on, builds customers, one sustains customers. But like, if you look at the format of early day McDonald's, burgers, fries, and shakes, then the innovation comes around what toppings do I put on the burger, and how do we take a shake and make multiple flavors? What you're saying is, as a direction, we're not going to be everything to everybody, but we have our cores, and we can look down the matrix and say, here's how we can add services that fit underneath it.
Yeah. And what's great we have 30 open locations, right? Which with a really robust history. So we know what has been tried in the past. We've got that data, but then we have a really nice testing ground, right? Where we can put in additional services, see how this works. We can control marketing and drive that traffic and get some really good key learnings. We've built up an incredible staff here at Xponential to partner with us on initiatives like that. So always always constantly testing. And this landscape, right? So there aren't I should maybe keep my mouth shut, but our other, brands, there aren't too many innovations that come with, cycling or Pilates, right? There are absolutely, new classes, new techniques, new instructions, right, that you can do. But Lindora really is a medical playground, right? We just brought on our new chief medical officer. Her name is Dr. Camelia Kashani, who has, 20 years of medical experience and is board certified in obesity medicine and incredibly passionate about the services that we do, right? And so we've really tasked her to look at what are the other supplemental offerings that would make sense and to do those, right? And we have fantastic partnerships with pharmacies and all that good stuff. So that is the franchisor's role, right? Is to always be pushing for innovation and new products and services that are going to make sense for that franchisee.
Well, and a protection of the investment for the franchisee too, because if something changes in culture or how we approach it, it's very easy for Lindora to shift. Not that it's impossible for a cycling franchise to shift, but if there's something that shifts in the way that people want to interact in a class type climate, it's a little bit more challenging. So.
And we're trying to build the Lindora of 2035, right? So that's what we're focused on right now. It's not, what is the latest and greatest thing? What do I need to turn on right now? It is, let's build a Lindora of 2035 today so we can get ahead of the game, because things are going to shift, right? This is, with the other exponential brands, yoga's been around forever, spinning, Pilates, right? The GLP-1 landscape is going to be shifting in the next 6 to 12 months, right? So we're working to make sure that we can shore up any business changes on that landscape and continually to drive innovation and drive revenue.
Yeah. Martin, I love your enthusiasm. I love your background. I love your story. You won one for the marketers, so awesome for that.
I know, right? I made it through.
You made it. Thanks for sharing some of your story. I'm grateful for it.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, for Martin, I'm Nick. This is another Franchisor Hot Seat.